I'm Eryn Dané, and welcome back to my corner of the internet. In today's video, we're going to be going over step 3 in my grand plan, which actually is available in a digital product that's available right now on my Beacon store, and you can access that clicking the link in my description box. But yeah, let's go into step 3. If you haven't already watched the first two videos, video number 1 and video number 2, going over steps 1 and steps 2, I would highly recommend you watch those before watching this one. But without further ado, let's get started. So step 3 is the planning step. And I want to remind everyone that, step 1, we've reflected. Step 2, we have already done our research, and now step 3, we're going to actually plan, right? We have enough information now to kind of forecast a little bit, to look forward a little bit, and to see where we're going to set our destination. Where is, we're at point A, and now we're going to figure out where point B is for ourselves in planning our careers and planning the next job that we'll likely want to get. So, and that's actually going to be the first thing I recommend to do in this step, is to pick 2 different types of jobs. The first one is going to be a goal role, and that's a role that you can get right now, right? With your resume being the way that it is, with, writing a cover letter and things like that. What kinds of jobs can you apply for right now? And reasonably, you should be able to get them. You should be able to move forward to the interview stage and even possibly get that job, right? So keep in mind, like, jobs that you're qualified for, jobs where you meet the minimum qualifications, you meet the minimum experience, and you meet the minimum education that the employer or the recruiter is actually looking for. So that's the first job that you're going to identify or establish. The second job that you're going to identify or establish in your whole career planning thing is a dream role, right? So now you're identifying, what could I get right now? What job could I step into tomorrow and I feel confident I could deliver on the job duties? I could deliver on what's being expected of me. And I want to identify, what's my next step, right? After being at that job, what's the job that I actually really, really want to be in, even if I may not be fully qualified right now? Maybe in 2 years, in 1 year, in 5 years, in 10 years, it could even be 10 years out that you plan this. What job would I want to be in at that time? And that job is going to be your dream role. And identifying both of these things is really important because, number one, it gives you a clear idea of what you're missing, of where you want to go, where you want to take your life in general. And it will clearly show you the gaps that you have between where you're at now and where you actually want to be. Plus, identifying a dream role, even now, even if you're still in school, or if you're, in high school, or if you're still in college, if you're still in your first full-time job, planning that is so important because, and I'm sure other professionals can attest to this, you don't want to step into something without knowing what it can do for you or how it can move you closer to where you actually want to be. And even, let's say, for example, you get that job you really wanted, like right out of high school or right out of college, and you work for a couple of months or maybe even a couple of years, and you start to get this feeling like, but isn't there more out there, right? Isn't there something that would be a better fit for me where I can get more pay or more benefits or more time off or more opportunities, more experience, more challenge, more authority, more leadership, more management, more autonomy, right? There's always something that we feel like is missing. And so that's why I always encourage people to not just think about tomorrow, what you can do in a week or so, but also think about what you want in a year or in 3 years or in 5 years. It keeps you focused, it keeps you motivated, it keeps you ambitious, and it feels assuring as well. It feels like, I can do this. I can get through this because I know on the other side, I have something else that I'm working towards. I have something else that I actually want to be. People find value and find power and find some kind of self-inspiration in understanding on paper very clearly, very openly, where they're at now and where they want to be. And the important thing about identifying your gaps is that now that you know what the gaps actually are, you can work towards closing them. You can work towards addressing these gaps. And I think I also talked about this in the previous, in step 2, which is the research step. I talked about closing your gaps, how to figure that out and how to go about that. So if you want to hear more on that subject, then I would encourage you to go ahead and watch that video, which I will link up in the, is it this corner or this corner? I'm not sure. One of the corners. And I'm sure I've said this in other videos and other places where I post content, but another reason why it's important to do this assessment is because I really want to emphasize you are the driver of your career. You know, there are certain jobs in certain industries where you hop on, it's like an escalator. You hop on and it just takes you up and up and up. There are even certain companies where you hop on in an entry level position and you can just be promoted and promoted and promoted and promoted. And, you know, it's fine. It's easy peasy. Not everyone's company, not everyone's job, not everyone's career industry operates like that. It is rare to find that in healthcare administration. Most times people are just, you know, plowing their own lane, just blazing their own trail and finding their own way to promotions, finding their own way to, you know, tweaking their job and, you know, adjusting certain areas. I've seen quite a few people who are working in healthcare administration who are like actually a little bit like job hoppers. Whether it could be due to like industry fluctuations, it could be due to layoffs, it could be due to, you know, differences in funding, where you start at one company and then you hop to the other because they're giving you a better deal, and then you might hop back, right? So I really want to emphasize this concept. It's not just someone's going to tell you what's next for your career. You really have to be a little bit more proactive in this field in figuring that out for yourself. Sometimes people find their place in healthcare administration and they stay at that company for 20, 30, 40 years. And that's amazing. And I hope and wish that, you know, that could be everyone's experience. But, you know, maybe you change as a person. Maybe your lifestyle is changing. Maybe your family situation is changing. Maybe your residence situation is changing and you need something different, whatever it is. Yes, there is a necessity to being proactive, but also it's what will serve you best in this industry and in this field, and it will help you be prepared, right? Again, I want to emphasize the importance of having a healthy and good network. That is something that I want to work on this year, is like really reviving my network and really ensuring that my connections are positive, my connections are good and solid, because you never know when you're going to knock on that person's door. You know, I've only been out of grad school for maybe 2 years, 1 or 2 years, and already, you know, people are leaning on each other, meeting with each other, hitting each other up for advice, for help, or even just to talk about what's going on in the industry, because so much is going on in the world these days. I've even heard other people, other professionals talk about how, you know, their connections and their network is important because they want to discuss and they want to like strategize how to move through whatever's changing in the industry and how they can best support each other as they sit in different areas and different types of organizations within the industry, and how can they kind of work synergistically, SAT word, work together in order to have a mutually beneficial outcome. And there's so many positive ripple effects that can come from implementing this, not only as a mindset, but also just as a rhythm in your career and in your professional life, so to speak. Now, I don't want this video to get too long. And this is technically a bonus section of my whole career planning series or career building series. But I also want to touch on the 3 different variables that I've identified that can help you understand the industry and understand how to approach identifying these roles, right? Because when I say identify a role, identify a job, find a position, that can get really complicated really fast. I'm going to be completely honest with you. It really, really can. And so I want to provide you with the tools and the insight to be able to kind of navigate that on your own. These three variables, which I want you to remember, um, are FSS. And the F is for field, the S's are for setting, and then also specialty. And so these are the three variables that I want you to keep in mind when looking for your goal role and looking for your dream role in healthcare administration. But I will save going over them in more detail in the next video. If you're a little bit impatient and don't want to wait until the next video, which I totally get it, you know, you're like, I don't know when she's going to post again. Fair. You can go to my LinkedIn, and I will also link the post that I made about this down below so you can find it like right away. I made a post about this on my LinkedIn, briefly explaining what this acronym does and how it can help you navigate the role identification. I will link that post down below for those of you who are curious right now and want to learn more about the FIZ variables and approaches to finding your niche in healthcare administration. I've done enough talking in this video. Thank you so much for coming back, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.